For those with good taste.
What is up, tasties and tastettes? Welcome back to another episode of FTWGT Weekly. It's your boy Lenny, joined again, as always, with my producer extraordinaire, Dante. How the fudge are you?
I'm good. Why are you talking so fast?
I'm amped up to be here, buddy. Just excited. And if you're amped up to be here as well, make sure to drop a like, a comment, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Thank you so much.
Please do.
Thank you so much. You know what I'm amped up about?
You started off like a freaking auctioneer. I can't get over it.
Well, you know why, Dante? You know what I'm excited about?
Why?
Yeah. Do I want to? It's because we were talking about Spotify Wrapped.
Yes.
And we were talking about Spotify Wrapped for music. But I got another Spotify Wrapped I want to talk about. You know how they tell you you're in the top percentage of whatever?
We'll come back to this, but yeah, go ahead.
You know how they're like, you were in the top whatever percent of listeners for this artist, right? In the Spotify Wrapped. I was in the top 4% of audiobook listeners on Spotify for the year.
Just audiobooks in general.
Fucking talk to me, people. Flex on them. 4%.
Okay.
I be reading and shit.
You be having things right to you, but yeah,
Shit.
sure. Over here having strangers read you bedtime stories.
It was like, they were like, the things you, what do you think my most listened to thing of the year was?
Harry Potter.
It Ends With Us.
Oh, God. Girls' Night Out strikes back.
Oh, man, dude. I saw that. It popped up on my list, and I was like, damn, I was in the top 4%. I was just getting educated and shit this year. I was on my book shit. I'm out here just getting into books.
Oh, man.
In retrospect, I listened to a lot of books this year.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
I listened to the 100 books. I listened to The Hunger Games again. It Ends With Us. There was more too, yeah. But I started trying to listen to Divergent, but I just haven't. I've only listened to like 20 minutes of it.
Started listening to what?
Divergent. Would that help you?
Divergent, okay.
Nothing in there says that the I has to be pronounced like that. Like the way it's spelled,
Divergent.
actually, Divergent would probably be the way it sounds.
I feel like I've always heard it pronounced Divergent, but yeah, sure.
You said you wanted to come back to something, Dante. What was it?
I don't know if this is a first 5 minutes of the pod type topic, but
So you want me to fill for 2 more minutes?
nah, screw it. We're going right into it.
Okay. Bleep it if you must.
No, well, I mean, you said like aside from Spotify Wrapped, you had another Wrapped, and I thought you were just gonna go a whole nother network. And you know, with you, I never know if it's gonna be a legit thing or if you're gonna go into a whole joke.
You thought I was going to talk about condoms?
No,
Okay.
I thought you were gonna do a whole thing about porn Wrapped.
Do you want me to go through that real quick?
No.
Like, I don't have the statistics, but I could guess.
Like if the hub gave you like a whole year-end Wrapped, this is what you were into.
Here's the thing about me, Dante. I think the Hub is the worst porn website.
I agree with you. It's just it's also the most commonly known one, so I usually use that as an example.
Yeah. Like that's not even in my top 7 porn websites.
You got a lot of rotation.
Yeah.
A lot of Wrapped reviews at the end of the year.
Yeah, my number one every year, and she's like on her deathbed, so it's been a tough year for stans of her, but Emily Willis is my favorite. My favorite. And so interestingly enough, I forget what it's called. So she has I don't know if people are aware out there. This is I'm glad you did this because we needed to fill a lot here.
Oh, no.
And I have some shit on this. Can you look her up real quick for her like medical, what the actual diagnosis that she has right now? So she, back in the summer, just so people who don't know, she had I don't know if it was like a heart attack or like something, but she had a huge medical issue when she was in rehab, and that led to her going into a coma. And there's very little stuff out there about her coma that she went into. Did you think it was a coma for most of your life and then realize that it's just a space coma?
I've known that it was a space coma.
Just wondering when you found out. So, but there was very little out there about it. Her family wasn't revealing very much, and like she was in a coma for a while. She is now awake. But she cannot move any of her body. She can't communicate. All she can communicate with is blinks of her eye, and it's an actual medical condition that has no cure for it currently.
Locked-in syndrome.
Locked-in syndrome. Thank you. I looked into this. Like, there's very rare instances of people who regained their motor skills.
Wow.
It's like a real thing. Like, locked-in syndrome doesn't sound like it should be a real thing, right?
No, it just sounds like it sounds so rare they didn't even give it an actual medical term.
Yeah, they can't figure out why it happens. Like, they don't have any real answers. Like, there's things that were developed, and it's been around for a long time now, I guess. But there's things developed that allowed people to communicate through like, they could translate through the blinks of the eyes and like shit like that. But yeah, basically, like, she can hear and ingest like everything you're saying, but she cannot respond to anything. Like, none of her physical movements are working.
And that's after suspected brain damage following her cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And like, so everybody assumed because she was in rehab that she relapsed, and like that's what led to all of this. But they're like, there were no drugs in her system when this happened to her, when she went into cardiac arrest. So nobody really knows like what happened to lead to this. And she, she's in her mid-20s. She's not like older or anything. I mean, I guess it just shows that like what drugs will do to your body if you've done too much of it. Needless to say, I think the porn industry is very unhealthy probably for people, because like there's quite a few famous actresses who are no longer with us. And then you look at like somebody like this that's very prominent that is basically not with us any longer, unfortunately. I keep hoping for her to make a comeback. I'd like to see like her first drop post rehab and recovery.
She's basically a vegetable right now.
No, but she'll make it back, dude.
In the end.
I think she'll.
Okay, yeah,
like,
you know what?
At some point, I'm not giving up hope.
I'm sorry, yeah, we'll keep hope alive.
I'm not giving up hope when my girl's coming back, dude. Like,
it's crazy. It's like you're trying to avoid telling a kid that Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah, like I've for the better part of like the back half of 2024 refused to accept that I'll never see a new Emily Willis video. It's been a tough one to deal with, and it really makes you respect the Bella Danger, because she got out and
she's been in the game for a minute.
She was in for a minute. She's been out for a while now. Ain't no new stuff coming out. She does like some OnlyFans shit, and she's still like prominent for Brazzers, but she's not fucking on film anymore.
It's crazy, like how many of like the big ones jump over to OnlyFans,
and they do it, and they don't have to actually fuck anymore. Like,
yeah,
she just is like, I'm cool with being naked. Like, so just keep paying me to get naked.
Bro, man, I wish I was born a hot chick. I'd be
dead ass, bro. I'd be a thought, brother.
Bro, I'd be popping it, bro. Come on.
I'd be thoughty as hell, man.
Yo, like,
I'd be in the streets. I'd be that girl taking on 100 dicks at once.
But like, then again, there's so many of them that just make millions from teasing on OnlyFans. They're not even actually doing it.
Well, yeah, but here's the problem, Dante. You'd have to get double dicked down by people for like 7 years to build your audience.
Earn to that point.
like Lana Rhoades didn't just like pop up one night and like make $1 billion on OnlyFans.
But I'm not even talking about like the actual porn stars. I'm talking about the influencers gone OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like,
they don't have to do anything.
Like
it's
that
just,
chick that jumps on the roof of like supercars and she's like, it's mine, whatever.
Oh, I've seen like one video of this girl. I know who you're talking about. She does OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Is it good?
I don't know. I haven't seen her stuff, but
I know there's like controversy about that Sophia Rain chick who said she made like a bunch of money, and
she's another one of those like Instagram influencers.
Yeah, and I think it was Adam22 who was like, "Yeah, I've checked in with like a ton of OnlyFans like higher ups, and they're like, that's completely inaccurate. The amount of money she's saying that she made."
Oh, she's fudging the numbers.
Which I feel like it'd be fairly easy to find like a somewhat decent idea of what she made.
There's got to be some sort of like online traffic counter kind of thing,
well,
right?
There's a lot of the times, like I think they show on the top the amount of followers that somebody has.
Do they? Okay.
Maybe not all of them, but some of them definitely do show the amount of followers somebody has, and then just times it by the amount of money that they charge per month. But then there's also all the direct to consumer content that you don't know, like
all the pay-per-view shit.
Yeah, and then there's also just like a bunch of simps out there that are just like sending
tipping or like buying shit off their Amazon wish list.
Yeah,
like
yeah. do you think that those dudes who are like I think it's probably a combination of two things, but do you think it's like those dudes who are sending all of that money think that they're gonna like that they're either in a real relationship or that they're eventually going to meet them and have some chance with them?
I think they're just keeping all hope alive. But like, honestly, you know what baffles me even more than them? Like, these dudes, at least, like, they're driven by a desire for something, right?
Yeah.
Versus, like, the one I really don't get is the dudes that tip like $500,000 on Twitch to like gamers. You're gonna try and explain it to me.
That's a lot of money. I don't think that makes sense, but
it happens. You know, it happens very often.
So yeah, I mean, like I know, like Tim has like like his top donors are like $500 sometimes, or like whatever. I've said this to Dave in the past. I wouldn't tip a person like Tim the Tapman or like Nick Merckx or any of these guys, right? That are like at the tippity top because they don't need my $50 that I'm gonna give them.
No, I mean I'd love to give like the $5 to like the smaller creator or whatever.
Like the only people I would do
even
that,
$5 to me is a lot to just give away like that. You know what I mean?
like those are the people though, like the content creators that I follow that have concurrent viewers of like 100 people or like 75 people. Like those are the people that I would personally feel okay or good about supporting.
Well, you almost feel more inclined to support because it's like, all right, they're making good content that I'm enjoying. Let me show my support to keep them in the game so they don't jump off of this avenue. Yeah,
and it's like, to your point, it's a way to just show appreciation. Like, because it is a grind. I mean, just from doing this, right, with no like income coming from it, like there is just a grind to continually, when you have no viewership, it's very easy to just not want to like do it.
Because then it gets to a point where it's like, what's the point?
And I would say Twitch is even more, like live streaming is even more so than what we do, right? Because like we need to show up.
Because they need an audience.
Yeah, and we show up once a week. We record some shit. We put it out. And it's like we could just hang out once a week and do the same stuff. But like they've got to show up 3 to 5 times a week. And they could show up with nobody in their audience, or like they could go from 1 week having 200 concurrent viewers, and then the next week they could be at 50, and they're like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And like, because it takes 1 week of being defeated to stop doing it for a week, and then that week turns into 2 and
draws away.
And you just like, it's hard to go back and do it again. I was on my Twitch page for like the people I'm following, and I was just looking at like you can see follower counts, not like sub counts, but like follower counts. And like, even that was surprising to me, some of the numbers that I saw on people, where I'm like, damn, like you are on a constant basis, like it's way more followers than we have, right? Like I've but no shame at this at all. It's still impressive numbers. But when you're like, damn, like you stream 5 times a week for fucking 4 years, and it's like you have 25,000 followers, and on Twitch, that doesn't mean you have that many people watching you. That means like somebody popped onto your stream one day and like they liked it, they followed you, but that doesn't mean they're paying you any money. That doesn't mean they're showing up every time you stream. Like it's a hard thing to grow.
And I've noticed like when you're starting out with something like that, like it has to just be something you're doing because you want to, because you enjoy it. Like you're enjoying making the content. If you do it to try and build a follower base, like you're gonna get drawn. What's the word?
Defeated
pretty quick.
Yeah. Did you follow any of the Kai Cenat subathon? The Mafia-thon?
I didn't watch any of it on Twitch, but obviously the clips are everywhere, so I've seen a lot of that. Actually, on YouTube, I did watch like the full like Jabberwockies one just because I love them.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I watched a decent amount. I did watch it live sometimes too. It was kind of nice because I do a lot of my daily viewing. I go to the movies all the time, but if I'm just like watching shit at home, it's mostly YouTube or I'll throw on Twitch. Yeah. And it was great because 24 hours a day, like they were just streaming something. So like I could just pop that on for background noise if I needed to. But 2 things. Rakai, he was like the smaller, the younger kid that was on the streams. You didn't watch it daily, but he was on for the full month. Yeah. And it's like he's like a 16-year-old kid who's still in high school. And there's a video of him from like less than a year ago talking to his chat and being like, it'd be so cool to meet Kai Cenat. Like, imagine if I got to go to his house and meet him and like this shit. And like less than a year later, like he spent a whole month on Kai Cenat's fucking Mafia-thon and like has blown up significantly from it. And that's kind of crazy in itself. Within a year, like especially as like a 16-year-old kid to
Yeah.
like just blow up that level. Then there was the other chick who is currently the record holder for longest stream. She's been streaming for 3 years now straight. And she Kaisenet found her while on stream during Mafiathon and started watching her. And obviously so many other people then saw her. She just hit 10,000 and 20,000 followers or subs for the first time after streaming for 3 years straight. Has
Holy
not
shit.
stopped streaming. Like, and she mostly just does it at her house. She doesn't do like the IRL, like.
So she's not
like,
walking around doing like vlogs, like a day in the life type thing?
No, she does it sometimes, but she was like, no, most of it has just been like here in the house. And like, he's coming from like, I'm doing this for 30 days. You've been doing this for 3 years. This is fucking crazy. Like, in the dedication to think that like she hadn't reached 10,000 subs, she hadn't reached 20,000 subs, and she's been she's not stepped off of stream. She was showering in like clothing at times to like
Just to keep it going.
to have the camera going. Now she said like at first that she would she would shower like clothed to do stuff, or like, but now she's like cool about, she said in the past like year and a half or something, she'll step off camera, you know, for 15 minutes to go do this or go do that. But she's not stopped streaming the whole time.
That's insane.
It's crazy, right? And he got her invited to the streamer awards that just happened this past week. Like, props to him, because like he helped this girl. He probably changed her life, in all honesty. Like, now it's a sustainable career, and it took her grinding at such a level. And this is what we're talking about. She could have stopped that stream at any point.
Yeah.
Because there's probably days where it wasn't that great for her. She could have stopped at any time, and she just kept going and going. And then eventually, like, the stars lined up, and this dude clicked on her stream because somebody told him, like, this girl's been streaming for this long. He ends up clicking on it. He puts her on he gets her on a call on the stream with QT Cinderella, I think's her name. She's the one who puts on the streamer awards, basically.
Okay.
And like got her the invite to it, and she was just like, it was just such a genuine thing to watch. But yeah, like, and then you look now after the Mafiathon's over, the NPC Miles Morales, like, kid that they had doing everything, the drummer, the office drummer that they had on the stream, and her, they've been doing a bunch of like 3-way like streams, like the 3 of them hopping on. So it's just like, even what he did just for their 3 careers.
Yeah, just built a community for them.
Yeah, built a platform for them to now take and do their own thing off of it. And people are asking, because like they're talking about stuff that was behind the scenes for it, and they're like, do you think like Kai is going to be upset? And he's like, they're like, no, like this is what he wanted. Like he
I mean, from
brought
what I've
us
seen from
on
him,
it.
he just likes doing like positive shit.
Yeah, he seems like a very good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's always another shoe that ends up dropping on shit
Yeah, I
like
mean,
this,
obviously,
but, like,
there's a ton of videos also of him just like wilding out, but like,
yeah, he seems like a very genuine person. I thought like the stuff with that Rakai, like the young kid, was the coolest part of the whole thing, because like he made that kid get a tutor. He was like, you can't do shit on stream if you're not doing your homework, and was like, he was basically a fucking big brother / like dad to this kid for a month of like getting his shit together and being like, yeah, like, you're gonna do great at streaming, but like that doesn't mean throw away
Everything
school
else,
with this
yeah.
idea that like you're just gonna make a ton of money doing this. Like, you still need to, like, he was like pointing out all the other people that are in their crew and being like, he was finishing up high school, he still did it, you know, like he graduated, you know, like, you got to do this. So I thought it was really cool. We hit a lot of shit. We started with like porn from some of this. We actually started with me being a top. I don't want to like let the lead get buried here.
top
4%
audiobook
audiobooks.
listener. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm smart and shit. You want to pivot to some topics, Dante?
What you got?
Have you been following any of the? You're gonna make me do this.
Don't, please don't do it. No.
All right. So Dante, Dave, you think Dave's not here?
No.
Dave's about to be in Dante's mouth.
Can't do it now. All right.
Have a little bit of that D33 Ray in your mouth, dude.
Cut the shit, bro. Lenny had to go and name the cookie Dave, and now it made it awkward for me.
His presence will be felt inside you. Have you been following any of the
Why'd you do this?
the Arianna Grande like interview stuff, like post Wicket?
No, actually.
this is the problem where you need to get a TikTok, dude, because like this is just like where you're gonna see shit like this is like just the mindless scrolling, and you come across like a bunch of interviews of her. So there's been like a bunch of really cringe like interview stuff with her and Cynthia Revo. I mean, I actually knew her name.
I've heard the like holding space shit.
That one's super cringe, right? So she just did Actors on Actors with Paul Mescal this week.
I've actually been watching some of that. I haven't watched that episode, but
yeah. So there's been 2 that have come out so far for the new season of it. It was Ryan Reynolds and Andrew Garfield, and then her and Paul Mescal. There's a bunch of clips going around, and there's a picture that I came across on my Twitter, and it's like she just seems very different. Like she seems almost like a robot to me. And like, so somebody posted this, and it's like, what happened to Ariana Grande?
Yeah, wow.
So we were talking about
she almost looks like coked out.
We were talking about a few weeks ago on here, I think the Avril Lavigne having been dead and replaced with like a body double thing.
You think the same thing happened with REG?
There's just something like the way she doesn't talk like a regular person anymore. Like there's just like, she doesn't really have emotions. She like speaks in a robotic way, and she doesn't have emotions anymore. It's very fucking weird.
Huh.
And it would be normal, I suppose, but she's been in the limelight now for like 15 years. So we have so much things that show like
to compare.
Yeah, what she was like. And it's like, what happened that flipped this switch that she did Wicked, and she was fantastic in Wicked, I thought. So it's not affecting her in that realm of stuff. But even in that, she seems like, doesn't she seem a little fake? It's a movie, but like her way she acts in the movie seems like fit. I don't know. Like it's very weird to me.
It's tough to say any of that from her performance in a movie, just because
maybe
I feel like a lot of that is the character, right? But like,
maybe
I haven't seen her in interviews to really compare that.
Yeah, I think she became Galinda.
Yeah,
I don't want people out there, because like I know you probably are on TikTok or you get caught up in Instagram reels or some shit. Tell me if you're seeing what I'm seeing out there. There's something missing with this girl. Like something went awry. I don't know if it's like traumatic experiences that like stripped her of her ability to show facial expressions, but there is something weird about her now. That's all I had on that. Anything? No? Cool. Next up, the Sony Spider Villianaverse is
what?
The Sony Spider Villianaverse.
Okay, you just double down on it. Cool.
Yeah. You know the Villianaverse, right?
Sure.
We had like Madam Web. No.
Oh.
No, like the standalone movies. Venom, Morbius.
I see. Okay.
Madam Web. And now we have Craven coming out. Craven is going to be the last in the Villianaverse for the foreseeable future, they're saying.
Okay.
I'm saying about damn time.
Yeah. Probably
time we got out. It is sad that we'll never get a Madam Web 2. I think we're all mourning that.
Are we?
Yeah, I think we all were. I mean, it's one of the... It might not have been the best movie of 2024, but I think at the year-end awards, it's going to get some praise heaped on it. Because it might be the most memorable thing of this year.
Fair.
It took the world... Like, people do not appreciate that Madam Web kind of took the world by storm for like a 2-week period.
That's fair.
And it's not quite often that just god-awful movies do that.
Any publicity is good publicity, huh?
And honestly, Madam Web shaped my opinion of many movies for this year, if I'm being honest, because it got me to that
whole... Gave you a baseline, right?
Well, it was more like it got me to this whole thing of like, and I've always kind of felt this way because I like a ton of bad movies that I know are bad, but I really enjoy them. But this whole idea that like movies should make you feel something. And if a movie's so bad, like if a movie makes you feel nothing, and then it's like that's where it missed completely. So you should either be one direction or the other. You should be like the greatest shit I've ever watched, or be so bad that I'm still going to remember you because of the times that we had together, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
So I just think we need to, at the end of this year, we will appreciate what Madam Web did for us.
Sure.
Other than that, like, I'm hoping somehow Kraven the Hunter defies expectations.
It's not going to.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. Like, I would say 97% right, but that 3% I'm holding out hope. I'm like, this could just end up being, and I'm not, again, I don't want it to, like, it doesn't have to be great. It could just be so bad that I thought it was fucking hilarious. And I'll accept that. I also just hope, like, Aaron Taylor Johnson and, like, Russell Crowe aren't just showing up and putting out shit. I'd hope.
Are they in this? You can tell I haven't done any research on Kraven the Hunter at all.
One is Kraven. So, like, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen him.
We watched the trailer once, like 6-7 months
We
ago.
go to the movie so much, dude. Like, and I know you get there late, but, like, there's times you've got to see some trailers, and it's before every movie I see.
At least in the past, like, 2 weeks to maybe 4, I haven't been there early enough for trailers.
But this movie has been getting trailers for 6 months.
In the theater, though?
Yeah, they've been trying. They are trying. Okay, next up, we have got more casting news for Avengers Doomsday, which is where they've announced Robert Downey Jr. returning as Doom.
Yeah.
They've also announced Chris Evans.
As
they haven't said what he's going to play, but he's returning for Avengers Doomsday.
Interesting.
If we're trending in a dangerous direction with, like, pivotal moments that actually made people care about some shit and, like, brought tears and stuff,
like, bring it all back.
And 2 years later, you're undoing that stuff. And, like, if it's done well, all's forgiven. Nobody cares, right? But if it's a reaction to the fact that Marvel's not as hot in the streets and they want
your draws back,
yeah, like, then I think we're in a real issue here. You know, we're getting other main players that are announced back, like Benedict Cumberbatch is announced back as Doctor Strange, and, like, those normal people that we expect are going to be in it. But it is interesting that, like, we're digging into these. Like, I'm just waiting for Scarlett Johansson to get announced, you know, because it just seems like if we're going to just bring back all of these people, it's like, undo all of it then, you know. There's still other people we can bring in. Does it make you nervous?
Not nervous as much as curious.
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to try and explain it in a way that makes sense. I'm just hoping they find a good way to explain them being there.
Do you think there's a way they could have kept this under wraps?
No.
There's
not in today's day and age.
There's something I saw the other day on the Fantastic Four set that there's a person that they had been sneaking in and out under, like, a coat, like, where they were getting out of a truck covered and, like, running inside. And people are speculating that it's Robert Downey Jr. Is going to be appearing in some facet in probably maybe a post-credit or something to the Fantastic Four. But I guess that's my point, where there was a time with, like, Marvel where, like, the reveals are part of the allure, right? Like, they kept a bunch of, like, we talked about Spider-Man. Like,
it's just, in today's day and age, privacy is a thing of the past, and if there's enough people that want to know, that shit's gonna get out.
But there was rumors and speculation about Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming back, but it was never confirmed until they showed up on screen, and you got these incredible moments of, like, oh shit, you know. Yeah. And I just imagine what a theater would look like if Chris Evans, like, turned around and you just saw him, you know. And what a theater would be like, the shock that you would get in a theater from something like that. And I just feel like this kind of diminishes it a little when we're a year and a half out and we already know.
Yeah, I guess we're getting that information a little too far in advance.
Yeah, like, even if it was like a trailer release, you know, like one of the last trailers.
I could see this coming out. Yeah, I could see this coming out, like, maybe like 5-6 months before the movie comes out. But a year and a half is kind of crazy.
Yeah, because I believe is it May 2026 when these are coming? Awesome.
I don't know. I can look it up. So, yeah, May 2026. You're spot on.
Yeah, so we're like we're 15, 16 months out from, well, no, now you fucked me up. 17 or 18 months out. You literally screwed me up now. 17 or 18 months out from this. And we're already getting that type of casting news. I just wish that they had have found a way to keep it. So like, even if people started being like, oh, there's like word that Chris Evans might be on set, but it was like more speculative than it is confirmed, you know? There's still space where there could be huge moments in these movies, but
I mean, there could definitely still be like a lot of surprises in this movie that we just won't get until the movie drops. But like, these feel like pretty big ones that they're letting out a little early.
Yeah, and
not a little early, very early.
Maybe they still, like, we know he's going to be in it, but we don't know what role, as opposed to the Robert Downey Jr. stuff where it's like we know and it's been confirmed what he's doing. Because I think now the assumption is like, well, if they're turning Robert Downey Jr. to be the bad guy, maybe they do the same thing with Chris Evans'
I get the
character.
Robert Downey Jr. thing, right? Like, they need to drum up conversation around it and kind of get some excitement because, like you said, Marvel's not the big thing it was, you know, a few years ago. So getting that conversation going and getting that excitement makes sense. But then now it's just like, don't blow your load. Like,
we also say it's not like the big thing. Like, we pick and choose with that because like it's still like it's
successful.
Their peak was so much higher than what everybody else's peak was. So then everything else you do is going to seem like a step down. But like, don't get it twisted. Like, Guardians 3 crushed. It did very well and it was well received and people really liked it. We of course you have the Marvels and like
even Deadpool and Wolverine still like
crushed. But I think we don't consider that to be like mainline MCU. So like that's where I don't consider them a part of this conversation. It's going to eventually maybe bleed into being part of the conversation, but I'm not there yet to include that. Even though it was the first one under the Marvel banner, It still feels like it's this story that's like over here and then you have the main like timeline of shit.
Yeah, but sure, we still got Eternals, Marvels.
Well, Eternals was before Endgame though, was it, or was it after?
It was after. Right? No, it was
I felt like it was. You're probably right. I think you're right.
Yeah, it's definitely after.
Which that one I think we just all blank out of our minds because we'll never get another one of them, and it wasn't good.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just think that like even the movies that we say are bad are still doing well, you know, and like even to mention like No Way Home is post Endgame, and like
those are the ones nobody's arguing with, right? Like Tom Holland's Spider-Man is fucking phenomenal, right?
Yeah,
but like. There's definitely been, you know, we gave a couple examples. I mean, even Black Widow, like, it's not great. Yeah,
they're not, and they seem a bit lost. Like but some of it is Jonathan Majors' fault. I think that doesn't get enough, like, you know, credit for being the downfall of some of this phase of the MCU is that they had plans, just like they had plans for all these other things that we trusted and executed well. But their plan got blown up when the actor that they had pushed into a movie and into a TV show, they had invested heavily into Jonathan Majors being a key component of this run of movies. And it got blown up mid-cycle, you know? And people still weren't thrilled. Like, nobody liked Quantum Mania that much. Like, but he was a strong part of it. And then you got him as a strong part of Loki season 2, right? Like, that hurt a lot, and now I think that's where you get the pivot of Robert Downey Jr. coming back and a Chris Evans coming back, because the plans and like to piggyback on this, maybe the plan was always Robert Downey Jr., but the plan was 5 years from now, you know, and they had to expedite that plan, so you would have had this space between everything happening, but Jonathan Majors doesn't work out, and you have to skip a whole segment of what they were doing, and you jump ahead now 2 years into the progression of the way these movies were supposed to happen, in a way, you know?
That does make sense. Yeah, like that was a pretty big upset.
Because like these conversations maybe don't feel the same if it's 2030 and you're about to get the return of Robert Downey Jr. to the MCU. Because then you're like, well, holy shit, I'm fucking pumped. But instead, you're like, dude, he had a great send-off. Yeah, and it wasn't like that long ago.
Like,
you know. But they had to just expedite those plans so significantly. And maybe he doesn't end up being, maybe with like 5 years in between, 6 years in between, like that time, he doesn't end up doing this. Maybe they have time to pivot another direction. But under the circumstances of what they were dealing with, it's like we need to make a splash because that whole segment got blown up, and yeah, we are trending downward. So now we're going to turn to these guys that helped us build what we have to help us get back on track, you know? I think that's all I got for
That's
for
the nasty news.
Yeah, for the topics in the news this week. So why don't we jump into tasting some shit like you've been tasting on Dave?
Yo, bro, see,
let me ask you, Dante. No, let me ask you a question.
No.
On this podcast, we ask the hard-hitting questions.
No.
Does he have it?
Not the little side-eye and head nod, bro.
No, but Dante, does he have it? No, people, but I'm asking a question. People, we're all asking, right? Does he have it? He's got it, right?
It's a good cookie.
You give me a cookie, I got you a cookie. You give me a cookie, I got you a cookie.
Oh, man.
Taste. And if you got cookies at home and they taste good, make sure to drop a like, comment, share, and subscribe on the podcast. Thanks so much.
So many of y'all with trash ass cookies. Still give us a like.
Yeah. Even if it's just some Chips Ahoy shit, maybe a Toll House.
Chips Ahoy, do you do the blue pack or the red pack?
Blue. Red is chewy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I fuck with the I like the hard stuff.
Like it hard, I like it flaccid.
Yeah, Dave's looking soft.
Yes.
Well, it's up to you to make that motherfucker hard. Leave him out for a couple days.
Oh my God. All right. On to the taste test, the actual taste test.
Okay, let me start here. We do this all the time on this podcast, and I'm sure some people hate it. It is fine. We talk about movie theater experiences.
Oh, God.
I have a couple I need to get out here.
A couple, okay.
Yeah. Funny enough, this is a Framingham story.
Okay.
I went on a Saturday night to Framingham, and I saw 2 movies.
Saturday night, you saw 2 movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I caught like a 7 o'clock.
Oh, okay. And then what, like a 9?
No, a 10:30. I had to.
So you had a lot of time.
I chilled for like 45 minutes in between. This place, dude, Dante, you know how big the Framingham parking lot is, right?
Massive.
Full. Saturday night.
Even the back section, like by the street.
Yeah, like so I park on. I don't know where you park. I park on the right hand side. I come in from the mall entrance. And then I
come in from the mall entrance, but I go to the other side.
No, so I park on
the left of the building.
Yeah, I park on the right-hand side. Well, so if you're facing the building, I park on the
if
right
I'm
side.
standing facing the building, I'm parking to the left.
So we just park opposites. But yeah, like my side where I park was full. Never full like that, really. I was walking past the counter where they take tickets, and there was a family trying to get in to see Wicket that couldn't get seats together. Like this place. They were fine. Like they weren't mad, but like it was crazy.
But also, like, you all should be buying your tickets in advance.
Some people don't do that though. If you don't like, that could have been the one movie they're seeing this year.
True,
you know, like they don't like that's.
They
just
don't
not,
know the whole thing.
And like Wicket's been out for a week and a half, 2 weeks. You don't expect to show up and have a million people. And
but how big of a family was it? Like a family
3
of
people.
5? Oh, 3?
3 people.
And they couldn't get 3 adjacent seats?
No.
That's crazy. What is that movie still doing for numbers?
Yeah, it's got to be stupid. Because just my experience, like this place was slammed, Dante. Slammed. So I get my drinks, I get my pizza. My pizza didn't get get delivered to me till 20 minutes into the movie. I thought they had forgotten about me. It took so long for me to get the pizza.
Shit.
I bring this up to say when I go to see the second movie, we always criticize Braintree like for not having supplies and shit like that. And this isn't like Framingham, it's a different situation because they were just so busy.
Yeah.
This place looked like it got hit by a fucking hurricane. Like the floors were a mess. The countertops were just like rings of soda and like just disgusting.
And I never see that at Framingham.
No, every drink machine
out of order,
out of soda. Every single one. I drank diet ginger ale because I didn't have options.
I would lose my shit.
They have 5 drink machines. One of them was turned off, so they had 4 drink machines. All 4 filled with, like, I don't know how this happens. The ice is like in the thing, just like filled up, like people,
like in the little pocket.
Yeah,
like, people just overran it.
I don't know how they do that, but like every single one was just like ice filled to the brim. So you had to I'd push ice out of the way to get my drink under it. And then none of them had soda. Every single one sold out. So I got diet ginger ale that tasted terrible because I think the CO2 was running out too.
I don't know if I could do that. Like, I'll go into like a movie without a snack or like popcorn or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like
a drink's
I
tough.
always have to have a drink.
Yeah, a drink's tough. It honestly, like, looking at the way it looked, it made me appreciate like some nights at a movie theater gotta suck. Because even the second movie I saw that night, there was still, as the movie was, they had to hold the trailers for an extra 10 minutes because Wicket must have been the showing before me in that theater. Because it was one of the big ones. It was like Theater 10.
Yeah.
And there was a girl still cleaning when I got it. Like, she was still cleaning 10 minutes into when the movie should have started. So they held the trailers and started them later.
Damn.
And they didn't do a great job because, like, I went to put my drink in a cup holder and there was just trash in my cup holder that they hadn't gotten. I also screwed up, and in those theaters, I thought that sitting in the handicap, I would be like in a good spot. And the theater was mostly empty for the movie I was seeing. I was too close.
Yeah. Framingham's a little tricky with that one, so I usually just look at what it is and try and go more towards the middle. That's kind of like your safe spot for most of those theaters. I
just didn't, because I was buying it early. I didn't want to end up with a bunch of people around me and shit like that. Like,
I mean, we go often enough too now that, like, I don't know if you think about this, but when I go to purchase a ticket and I see the seat layout, I can almost picture which theater they're going to be showing it in.
Yeah.
Because, like, some of them have elevation, some of them are flat.
Well, so and that's where I didn't know what the large, because I've only seen like one other thing. I think I saw Transformers 1 in this theater. Aside from that,
large theaters.
Yeah, we talked about this. Like, none of the stuff we see is really in those really large ones. So I just didn't have. If I was one row back, like I was for Transformers 1, I think I would have been happy. But I was just a little too close to where I was like looking up for the movie.
I feel you.
So which movie do I start with? So I have 3 movies for the theater I need to talk about. You have 2.
Yeah,
two.
Two.
So I talked about this on the Y2K review. Check that out if you haven't yet. I saw 2 movies that night. The first one I took edibles before I went to the theater. So as the movie was starting, the edibles were like kicking in. And I think this is a movie I wouldn't have as many good things to say about if I wasn't in a very
altered mindset,
chilled out, zoned in like mindset at the time. So I saw this movie called The Return. It stars is it Ralph Fiennes? It's the dude who plays Voldemort from Harry Potter. But basically he plays Odysseus, and it's they go off. Yeah, they go off to war to fight to do the Trojan horse shit, right? And he goes missing for years, and it's assumed that the king is dead, but his queen has not taken on a new husband, and so men have been showing up from all over the world to try and become her husband, and they're like, and she just keeps putting it off because she's making excuses because she believes her husband's still out there. But they've destroyed his kingdom, like, because these men are power hungry. They're bad guys, and they've just destroyed all the exterior parts of the kingdom. Like, people don't have money. People are like living on nothing. They're giving all their food as taxes to them.
So they're like not taking care of the people.
Yeah. And he washes up on shore, like back home, finally, after however many years, and is like a shell of himself, essentially, because it's believed that they won the war, but he got all of his men killed, and he feels like shame for that, and he hasn't wanted to go back, and because like he's built up as this like mastermind of war, he's a great king, but he lost all of his people, and he didn't want to go back having to show his face and he just didn't feel like himself any longer. So he's been gone. Shows up, washes up on shore, and gets taken in by these people who don't know who he is. And he's just like, and it's interesting because it's like common folk who don't know. It's been so long that some of the younger people just don't even know what he looks like. And like, he's not like the same anymore. And he's hearing about like the things about himself and about what's happened in the kingdom and like the stuff about his wife and all of this. And it just like is leading up to him facing his wife for the first time in 10 years. And
20.
Okay, thanks. 20?
It was 20 years, yeah.
Shit. Long ass time. His son has never met him. Like, his son doesn't know him. His son doesn't believe that he's he hates him almost because he sees like what his mom has gone through and all of this. So it's a slow movie. It's like a kind of slow movie, but he's fantastic in it. Did you look it up? Is it Ralph Fiennes or Ralph Fiennes, right? He's fucking great in it. His wife is really, really good. I ended up, I gave it 3 stars.
How was my guy Charlie Plummer?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why I knew him. That's the kid from Looking for Alaska, right? Yeah. Until this moment, I could not figure out why the fuck I knew who he was. I was like, dude, there is something so familiar about this kid. I know him from something. That's what it was. Yeah. He's better in Looking for Alaska.
Damn.
I don't think it was probably more the character that he's playing, like this bitter kid. And Ralph Fiennes' character shits on him at one point because like he's talking about how like his father, like it was a letdown and all of this stuff when he realizes who he is. Yeah. Because he's never seen him. So once he realizes that that's his dad, like he's like shit talking him because of what he put his mother through with never coming back and all this. And he's just like,
so he's the son that is meeting him for the first time.
Yeah. And like, but Ralph Fiennes kind of just like, well, what kind of man are you that you've allowed your king, like you're supposed to be the heir to my throne. And you've allowed these men to come in here and do this to my kingdom. And like just shits on him. Like, are you a real man? You know, like, and it was like, damn. All right, put him in his place real quick, dude. That was great. He's kind of a badass because Ralph Fiennes also was Darth Maul, I think. Double check that for me. I might be like very far off on this, but I feel like in my head, I was saying to myself, he was both Lord Voldemort and Darth Maul, I feel like.
I'm just scrolling till I see a Star Wars movie.
I might say that and just be like so wrong.
I think you might be wrong because
Okay.
I'm already back to 2018 and I haven't seen anything.
Well, Darth Maul would have been early 2000s, dude.
Oh, really? I don't know the time. We've gone over this. I don't know Star Wars. It might not even say Star Wars. I might scroll past it.
Ray Park is Darth Maul. I knew there was
his
like
name?
Ray Park was the guy who played Darth Maul. So that's where I like the Ray and the Ralph. That's what I was asking you, was his name Ralph? Like, because in my head it was like it was either Ray or Ralph. So okay, but he played Voldemort either way. Yeah, he was the standout part of the movie. There was some good action sequences in it, some brutal kills in it. They do a pretty good job of making it believable that he is like a 60-year-old man, but he was a great warrior and like he can still hang when he has to.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. I think it came in like the 50s still. Yeah, 55 is where I had it.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to talk about one of your two before I go with another one?
Yeah. We'll get this one out of the way. I watched Moana 2.
Still haven't seen Moana 1 for anybody out there, so that's why I have not seen this, and I just don't care. Because The Rock fell off.
As far as like the modern like animated, like this is Disney, right? Disney movies.
Yeah.
The first one was definitely one of my favorites of like that group. This one, I don't think really pulled that off.
Could you get the feeling watching it that this was originally intended to be for Disney, like the streaming for Disney Plus? Is that what it is?
Disney Plus, yeah.
Could you get the feeling that this was originally made to be that and then it got switched into a movie?
That makes sense simply for the fact that this felt simpler, right? Like, I feel like the first one like definitely had a way of making the story feel a lot more grand, whereas this one almost felt a little too simple.
Yeah.
And so you giving me that information makes sense. And I think that's one of the main reasons I'm like, this didn't really hit for me the same way the first one did. I mean, at the end of the day, like Disney, it's still a good movie. I just don't think it was great.
I feel like that's been like the consensus I've gotten from anything I've watched about it so far.
Yeah.
And I've seen talked about is that like it just kind of, the first one is held as such like a, in the 2000s, it's one of their best animated movies they've done. And people speak very, very highly of it, of the musical choices. And
that's another thing too. Like the music, like there's at least 2 songs that I can think of in my head right now from the first one that I'll never forget. Right. Like,
can you give me like a bar?
I forget how it goes.
You just
it's okay
you never forget
to say you're welcome.
Okay.
You've heard it sang.
No, I don't know that. I don't know anything about
Bro,
Moana. I don't even know the plot. Like, I know nothing about Moana.
The reason I thought you would know that, though, is because right around the time that movie came out, that was all Kai kept saying.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I probably I probably didn't understand it, for one. And for two,
I used to get it all the time.
Yeah, I also was probably like, shut the fuck up. Leave me alone, please.
Yeah, no, but I just
so
feel
there's
like
is there no songs from this that are like stand out?
none
like that?
of them stick to you. No, like they're all just like whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus like there was some really great songs in the first one.
So, Mansky, how do you feel about the live action that they're working on? And
I don't feel like
is the live action just a remake of the animated Moana?
I think it's a remake of the first one. Yeah,
that seems stupid. But
I don't know. I haven't looked into anything of it, but I just know the live action is just called Moana, so I'm just assuming it'd be a remake of
it. Just seems
Moana.
dumb. Like within 10 years of the movie, just doing the same movie action, and doing it live action would seem like a waste. Like just because I don't envision a world where the people aren't like, why wouldn't I just watch the animated? It's better than the Rock in this like weird muscle suit. You know.
I hope they try to tell like a different story or maybe like an untold story of it through the live action. That would maybe give it some life. But again, I haven't looked into anything on it, so I don't know. Also, like we've been throwing around a lot of shit about The Rock recently, and I feel like I let that soil my opinion of this movie as well.
Yeah.
Like I was just watching it and I was like, fucking Rock, just being The Rock.
Yeah. It's just like, it's like I just saw this movie 3 weeks ago. It's called Red One.
Yeah. So like, I feel like a lot of that definitely influenced my opinion of the movie. Where I was just like, oh, come on, dude.
But
like,
I don't think that that's our conversation. I just think that's the reality of The Rock.
I just think it's something that I normally probably wouldn't pay as much attention to, but because it was so fresh in my mind having those conversations, it's all I could see.
Yeah. So where'd you land on this?
So I still gave it 3 stars. Like I said, I mean, like at the end of the day, it's a good movie. I just didn't love it. And it dropped in at 34.
Okay. I mean, that's still pretty high up in the grand scheme. Top third.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, and that's, I guess, where my ranking probably speaks a lot higher than what I'm actually saying out loud. But what it comes down to is it didn't really live up to the first one for me. And so that's where I'm drawing a lot of comparisons and saying that it's not as good, but like it's still an okay movie.
Where'd this rate against Brave Little Robot in the Wild?
The Wild Robot?
Okay.
I would have to reorganize my list to find that, or wait, hold on. What does the cover look like?
It's a robot. It's in the woods.
It's behind it. I put Wild Robot at 3.5 stars at 23.
Well, that's where I was just trying to figure out. Because like to me, I think that's...
The Wild Robot, I would jump ahead of good and say it's probably a great movie.
Yeah, like The Wild Robot and Transformers 1, I think are my 2 highest animated rated movies of the year.
Deservingly so.
They're both better, you would consider?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even Inside Out 2, better.
Okay, and I didn't even count that in there. But yeah, that's obvious.
Because that was also this year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like 4 months ago.
Okay.
It was pretty recent. Yeah, okay, and I would have to imagine that's better. Yeah. So I saw Werewolves, which you had said you were trying to see. Are you familiar at all with what it is?
All I remember is reading the plot.
So it's essentially the Purge, but if the Purge were about werewolves.
I didn't gather that from the plot.
So it takes place like there's been a year. It's a year after something like this. So basically, like the moon comes out, a full moon comes out a year previous, and turns a bunch of people into werewolves, and they wreak havoc on the world and kill a bunch of people. So
yeah, something about like the supermoon or something.
Yeah. So now you're like a year later, and its house is getting boarded up and like locked down for the night of the supermoon, and it stars Frank Grillo, who plays a scientist who is also in the army or like military of some regard, going to like the CDC, basically, and they're trying to figure out a cure or something that will help with this night, so it isn't as impactful. So they've developed like what is basically a sunscreen that you can spray on that blocks the moon's rays from affecting your chemical like balance of your body.
Right.
And they now have people, they have like 5 people in cages that they've put this shit on to test for when the supermoon pops up.
So this is something that has to get put on before they turn, or it'll work after they turn?
Yeah, you have to put it on like before you would be hit by the moon. And so they do this, they're running tests on people, they don't change, and you're like, oh shit, like this works. And then about an hour, like close to an hour after that's been applied and they've been in the moon, it starts to, the effects of that sunscreen shit like diminishes and they turn. And all hell breaks loose, people start dying. And now the movie's about Frank Grillo and this one other character getting back to his family, who is like in a house that he's got like booby trapped up so werewolves can't get inside of it. It's like a sci-fi channel movie, but like a step above that, kind of.
So if you say a step above, the special effects are okay?
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is the budget's not probably very high on this movie. It seems like it's not got the biggest budget in the world, so they do the best that they can with the budget. But the werewolves look okay, good, I guess. But like they can't do a ton of physical stuff with them in terms of like interesting like fights necessarily.
Yeah,
because
like they don't have them chucking stuff and breaking through walls or whatever.
Yeah, like there's also just some weird scenes. Like there's a scene where like there's something I can't figure out. If like there's times I can't figure out if they're still human inside, and like there's just certain things in the movie that aren't explained well. So like there's times where they seem like they're just like recklessly violent werewolves, but then there's also times where they're like calculating, and it seems like they're like thinking, when things are happening, and you can't tell what they're choosing to make out of it. And it's never explained how it works when you become like the werewolf, so to speak. There's some good like violent kills in it. But then there's a scene towards the end, and this is what's so confusing, is like towards the end, Frank Grillo gets to his family, and like we always do spoilers here, so whatever. Like, and I don't think anybody gives a shit about spoilers to the movie Werewolves. Frank Grillo finally gets to his family. It's like 10 minutes till sunrise, and there's still wolves that are trying. His house has been completely like the booby traps and everything have been broken down, and they're able to get into the houses now. And so he is just like, fuck it, I'm going to become a werewolf. So he like stands in the moonlight and he becomes a werewolf. And the thing that's confusing is, at least for the first like 5 minutes he's a werewolf, he goes outside and he's like, his neighbor who is now turned, who he doesn't like, he's like, I'm going to fuck you up, basically. And he knows like, I'm going to go, but like none of the other werewolves fight each other throughout the movie. Like they're all going after humans. So he like knows, I need to protect my family. I'm going to kill this werewolf. But then suddenly like the bloodlust comes back after he kills this other werewolf, and he's going after his family. And it's like, so how did he remember that he's supposed to protect his family when he went out there? But then all of a sudden
forgets.
Yeah. And it flips. So, it's an hour and a half. It's not painful watch by any means. It's like, it could probably be funny in the right audience.
Yeah.
And it knows kind of what it is. But at the same time, like we said, I had some time in between films. So I saw this first, and then I saw another film after it. And I sat out in like the little table area in Framingham. And there's 3 people who were in the movie with me who were sitting at the table next to me talking about the movie. and they were just shitting all over it. So I can confirm that most people are like, this movie was pretty fucking bad. I think I gave it 2 stars. I also, my viewing experience, just really quickly. So the theater in Framingham that I saw it is one of the ones that's like more stadium seating.
Gotcha.
And on the sides, it's 2-seat rows, right? And these 4 like teenage kids were sitting on the left in 2 and 2. And then 2 of their other friends that I don't know if they knew they were going to be in the movie with them or not, but they were in the front, like in the rows in the front. And like these kids were like passing like their drinks and shit, like in their popcorn back and forth. Like one would stand up and be talking to his boy like over his shoulder, like in the row in front of him. They at times got up and went and were like on their, like kneeling down next to their friends that were in the front row, talking to them. The girl that the guy in the front was with got up and left for a little bit. So then they went down and like sat next to their friends up there. They would get up constantly and leave the theater and then come back. And it wasn't like loud, but it was distracting, you know? Like it was just always like
just a lot of like alternate motion that's taking your attention.
Yeah, like just something going on at all times to my left. So it was like that kind of took me out of it a little bit. But yeah, what did I give it? I gave it 2 stars. And I rated it at 88 on my list.
Pretty far down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, 2 stars, though, is still like whatever, you know. It wasn't like...
Again,
like if it's pops up on your streaming service of choice...
Whatever.
It's, you know, and I think another thing is if you're familiar with like Frank Grillo at this point, it's just very much in line with like the level of a Frank Grillo movie. At this point, I don't know what happened to him. Like he's just like the perfect. He's kind of what to me like Frank Grillo is modern day version of like what Jean-Claude Van Damme was doing after his like prime run in the movies. And like Frank Grillo's still a guy who's gonna pop up in your like he was in Avengers. He was in I think he's in a new DC movie coming out. I think.
I don't have him pulled up right now.
But he, you know, he did the Purge movies. He was in Purge Anarchy and Purge Election Year.
Yeah.
As like the main character to both of those. And I thought he was very good in those. Like I like Frank Grillo as an actor. He's a good action star, but he's just kind of that like straight to DVD level movies at this point. Like if he's leading your film in some regard, it's a straight to streaming or like a DVD style movie.
Gotcha.
You want to talk about Screen Unseen?
Yeah. So, last night I caught a Screen Unseen.
Last night I let the liquor talk. Sorry.
I feel you. I get bit by the song bug every now and again too. Usually, so like now I'm in your camp where I'll like look it up online and try and figure out what it is before I go.
Yeah.
And usually Reddit's pretty on point. And I also was telling you, I was like, I'm considering going just because like I kind of need to have some space to fill. I thought it was going to be Baby Girl, the Nicole Kidman movie, which, again, I'm not really looking forward to that one, but I'll probably watch it.
I'm looking forward to that, but that doesn't it seem like there is and I can't remember the movie that it reminds me of now, but there's it's like what was the Anne Hathaway movie?
Yeah, the Netflix one, right?
Yeah, and there was also a Nicole Kidman with Zac Efron.
With Zac Efron, yeah.
And this one's a little bit more in like the 50 Shades, like Baby Girl is a little more in the 50 Shades world. But you know, like there's definitely this thing in Hollywood right now with the idea of an older woman with like a younger male co-star. Like that's definitely a Hollywood theme right now, MILF porn.
It's just, I saw the trailer for it and it looks very meh.
I think I'm going to,
I don't know if the movie itself will maybe.
I think it's going to come
with
down to
more
the performances.
Context. It'll convey more, but yeah.
I think that if the acting performances are good, which I have a feeling they're going to be, that it's going to be a sneaky. Like people are like this. It's not going to do great numbers, but I think people are going to be like, it's good.
Yeah, and also I was telling you like I don't get to the movies early enough to watch trailers. I forgot I did see this trailer right before Y2K.
Okay, so I have not seen a September 5th trailer.
No, I'm sorry. The Baby Girl trailer.
Okay, because I don't know if you had said
I've seen the September 5th trailer as well.
Yeah, I hadn't seen this. I know that the comments on Letterboxd the Reddit thing were like, seems a little insensitive to be putting this movie out right now or something. And I was like, I don't really get it, but sure, okay. Like, yeah, I've seen the Baby Girl trailer a few times.
Yeah, it was just funny because like the group of people I went with, like that trailer plays and then it goes into the whole like, shut your phones off, blah, 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 and then you get the Nicole Kidman thing.
Yeah.
And all you hear is just one person in my group go, "Nah, I just watched you get slutted out 5 seconds ago."
How do you feel about now that they are using like the pre-run right
Sonic
before the movies for promotional reasons? Like
they were doing Wicked, and now they're doing Sonic.
And they did it with Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
well.
they did.
Like, do you like that they've kind of found a way to interweave promotion for movie? I think it's clever.
I think it's smart from a business standpoint, right? Like, we're talking about keeping movie theaters alive, and they found a way to charge these studios for premiere promotion.
Yeah, and I think for people like us who go to as many movies as we do, even though I've seen it a few times, I think it's nice to get like it changes.
I like that
every
it changes,
few months,
yeah, because obviously as often as we go, it gets dry very fast.
Yeah.
But I like that it changes. Like now it's Sonic, and I know I'm only going to have to deal with this for like 2-3 more weeks.
Yeah, and then it'll be another movie that
whatever the next big thing they want to promote is.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm not against it. But excuse me, sorry. So anyways, I went to Screen Unseen and I saw September 5th. Which, by the way, I don't think there was a title screen for this. Because like, no, I'm talking about like when the movie started, like, how like usually in the beginning of a movie you'll get like a title screen. I don't remember seeing a title
like
screen.
letting you know what
like
it is.
letting me know what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Because like in the beginning I was like, damn, like what movie is this? And then as soon as they showed them in like the ABC studios, I was like, oh, okay, it's that movie. Got it.
This is now I know what this is. This is the Olympics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. I for the life of me had no idea what movie this is, but now I know I've seen the trailer. Okay.
Yeah, you have. But I would liken it a lot to Saturday Night.
Yeah.
So like if you liked Saturday Night, you will like this.
Yeah, I think I figured this was going to be good.
Because like this gives you a lot on like the like production, like broadcast side of things, similar to how Saturday Night does.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a lot of insight to how that stuff works. Obviously, that's not the hero of the story or whatever, but I found that an interesting bit. The reason I was saying the thing about the title screen is because I didn't know the title of the movie. So I was trying to take notes on this one, and I tried to figure out what name to put, and I was just like, Olympic movie, I guess. And the first
you didn't think to Google Olympic movie and think that
I didn't want to go to Google or anything. I like because I have my phone in dark mode. So when I have the note screen come up, it's on a black screen at lowest brightness. Like I'm not going to distract anybody, right? So I was just trying to get that off quick so I could throw in a note to remember to say I really, really like the cinematography in this movie. I'm now like watching. I'm trying to take your advice and watch in a more critical sense. Mm-hmm. And I knew I was going to enjoy this movie. And one of the things that grasped my attention right away was the way it's shot. This is supposed to be set in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And they like very skillfully captured this in a way that kind of captures that aura. So it feels like very 70s-esque. Like most of the camera shots are handheld. So you can see like the bobble and like them walking when they're going like down the hall following an actor and stuff. And like, I thought all of that was done really, really well.
Did you feel like it was filmed on film?
It looks that way
like
for a lot of the shots.
Like a grainier shot.
I was going to say that too. Like this is like, I think in my notes I wrote down it's like 480K. Because it's like it has like that graininess, like that film feeling to it, but it's obviously still very high resolution. Like you can see the detail and stuff. It's a weird balance, but they make it work.
Okay.
So I want to get that note out. Like the cinematography was probably like one of my bigger takeaways of this, in addition to the performances that we got. Movie theater experience, quick cut. As I'm typing in that note, all I hear is to my right, dude, we can see your phone. Put it away.
Where were you sitting in the theater?
I was one row ahead of handicap because I bought the ticket too late.
Got it. So the handicap seat came for your throat.
No. The guy 2 seats over from me.
Sick.
So he makes this
Was
comment.
there an empty seat or was there somebody in
There was an empty seat in between us.
So he could have just said it directly to you.
He basically did, but he, like, the movie's going, right? And I'm obviously, like, over here, like, down in my pocket, like, trying to be, like, not distracting to anybody around me with it. He damn near shouts it at me. So, like, you're interrupting the movie way more than I am.
Yeah, because I was only affecting you.
And at this point, I turned to him. and I wanted to say something, and I was like, I'm not going to be like you and just disrupt everybody else's experience because nobody else gave a shit except for you. And I just kind of like looked at him. He looked at me and goes, yeah, you. And I just like laughed and like went right back to my phone. He was so angry, he got up and moved. I was just like, okay, dude.
All right, dude, yeah. Brother, he would have hated me because before the other movie I have to talk about, I had like it was during the UFC fights.
You were watching the fight?
Yeah, I had my phone on low brightness, like right here. Put my AirPod in.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I thought that was fucking hilarious. I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, it's not like, I don't know, people fucking pull their cell phones out all the time in movies that I see.
It's a different thing, right? Like I could get if I was like up here, like typing phone on max brightness or whatever. No, like I had it lowest brightness down here. I could barely see the fucking phone.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just wanted to make a point to say something.
Yeah.
It wasn't bothering you.
Dickhead.
Whatever, right? But anyways, back to the movie. Cinematography was great. I didn't know the story. So like just watching like the whole like events of everything unfold, I think they really rope you in on like the suspense of everything, both on like the side of them trying to figure out the production and the broadcast, as well as how the story is unfolding. So it's kind of like a twofold thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think you get some really, really great performances. I should have probably pulled it up so I could tell you their names, but the lead actor, the one that was like running the broadcast, he was fucking great.
Yeah, I don't remember from the trailer any of the faces standing out to me.
I know I should know who he is. I'm just not great with names. That doesn't look right. Fuck. Oh, John Majero.
What's he from? Why do I know him?
The Big Short.
Okay.
What was he in recently?
Was he? Hold on. Now I think I know why I know who that is.
Okay. Because I'm right now scrolling and realizing I haven't seen like half of these movies. He was in Orange is the New Black.
So funny enough, dude, we just put a short out last week for movie reveal. That's the guy. So for actor like 3 or whatever because The Big Short was the movie.
Yeah.
He's the face that pops up. I was like, why do I know who that is?
And I remember that's why it was so complicated for the movie reveal. It's like, I know his face, but I can't tell you anything he's been in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that guy.
Okay.
Great in this movie. I don't really know what else to say about it. I'm not trying to like spoil it or anything. Yeah. I don't think it needs to be spoiled. Like,
well, I mean, like it's a true story. So like,
I guess
if
I can't
anybody
really
wants
spoil
it to be spoiled, like
Probably
you can probably just go on Wikipedia or some shit. But yeah, it's good. Okay, so like I was going to see it regardless, but that makes me more excited to check it out.
Yeah.
What'd you give it?
I gave it 3 stars and I dropped it in at 26.
Okay. So it's like I'm glad we're still getting movies that are like reaching towards the
higher half,
of the list. That's cool. Okay, and so I had one last movie that I saw that I watched the UFC somewhat during. It's called Getaway. It stars Nick Frost, who is from like the Conchetta trilogy, the at World's End, Shaun of the Dead, like the lead guy from that. So it's definitely like a British like dry humor horror movie. So it's like it's not like laugh out loud funny, but it's definitely like very quippy the whole way through.
I had to see who Nick Frost was.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very like quippy the whole way through. And it's basically about this family who decides to go on a family vacation to a place in Sweden, this island in Sweden.
Oh, this was the horror movie. Okay.
Yeah. So it's an island in Sweden that they get an Airbnb on that for the past.
Dry hit. Oh, God. Put that away. Get it away from me. Oh, God.
So yeah, it's very dry humor the whole way through, and like they're going on a family vacation to this island where they do this like this play every year, and it's about the time that their people rebelled and killed a bunch of like Englishmen, and then ate their bodies. Yeah, and it's like a thing that they do every year, but they've stopped like killing people and shit. But the wife of Nick Frost found out that or at least her story is that her family was the Englishmen who got killed that first year. Like, she found out she's descendants of them and wants to come and see like the place that like all this happened.
Oh yeah, no, my ancestors died here. Let's go check it out.
So yeah, they show up on the island to stay at an Airbnb, and it's a very close-knit community because it's like there's only like a small amount of people who live on this island. They've lived there. Their families have lived there forever. Yeah. So they're not being welcomed there at all.
But they have an Airbnb.
So one of the guys there went against like you're supposed to get permission from the people to let outsiders, and he just didn't give a shit about getting permission and brings them in. Okay. And you know, so like they're not sightseeing, but like they're just like taking part in the community, but they're getting like bullied by the people that live there and trying to get scared away while they're there. I don't know if is this something you think you'll see, or
go ahead and spoil it.
Okay, so I sniped out what the twist was pretty early on in this movie. Like halfway through, I was like, so there's at the very beginning of the movie, they go to a diner. They meet this man and this woman, the owners of the diner they go to, right before they get on the ferry to go to the island. Yeah. And they're telling them like, you don't go there. If you go there, you're not going to come back, blah, blah, blah. They get on the boat, they go to leave, and you a little while later find a detective that is at that diner, and the people are dead. And there's a guy that's on the island who was just released from prison, and they suspect he's the one who killed them. And throughout the movie, the guy who did the Airbnb is staying in a small house that's out behind the house that they're staying in. Yeah. And the younger daughter, like, he's being kind of creepy towards her, and at times she's standing in front of like a mirror and hears like noises coming from the wall and suspects that somebody is watching them.
Like it's a two-way mirror?
Yeah. So she suspects somebody's watching from the wall, and like they let you in on the fact that like it is him watching, and there's like a scene of him like in her underwear and like bra, like standing, like laying in the bed. Like there's a scene where Nick Frost and the wife go back to the house because she's just like, do you want me to give you a blowjob? And he's like, why, yes. And so they go back to the house, and he has like security cameras in the home so he can watch everything, and it's him just jerking off in front of the cameras while he gets his dick sucked by the woman. So there's all these things like of like these little weird things that are popping up and some creepy shit, but that, like, I'm just like, you know what I think's gonna happen here? It's like, I think that they're the killers, like the family
that got there.
Yeah, I'm like pretty sure they're gonna be the killers. They are the killers. So basically, like, they planned this whole trip, and it seemed like they're not even real family. They're all playing like parts. Oh, like pretend like they're a fake family, and they literally just go to these places and just like murder entireties. Like, so like for them, it just turns into a game. Like one, like the play is happening, like, which is a fake reenactment of like when they killed the Englishman the first time. Yeah. And like the guys like who rent the Airbnb is like, well, you came for this, aren't you going to go? And they're like, yeah, we'll show up at the end, you know? And so they figure out at this point, like, they're not supposed to be home. Like, he's supposed to, the guy who's doing the Airbnb is supposed to drug them, because the idea was like, this is the first time, like, we hate these people. We're going to actually go back to killing and eating the people, because there's one elder person who was alive when they used to still do that. Yeah. Who's like, no, we're going back to our like roots, and we're doing like this. So she tasks him with drugging them through the cookies, but they've done all their research on what happens on this island. So he gifts them the cookies, but they know what the cookies are there for. Yeah. So he thinks that they're passed out. He goes into the house, and like the wife's passed out over here, the husband's passed out over here, the brother's passed out over here, and he goes and finds the girl that he's been creeping on in her bed, and he goes and lays down like next to her while she's supposed to be asleep in the bed. Yeah. But she's fake. sleeping, and they just fucking murder the shit out of this guy, and then they go on to murder like everybody across the island.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So like, but like
good kills.
Yeah. Like the violence was definitely good. There was some funny parts to it. Like it's a movie that like if I think this it's just something that I've seen enough times now. Like that idea of like you're projecting these people as the good guys that I was able to like, and it might have taken away from the experience a little bit that I was able to like pick it out fairly early on that I'm
it's
like,
almost told in a way that they want you to be able to see that stuff on the second watch but not pick it up as easily on the first.
Exactly right, like it's like Don't Breathe, like
never watched it.
So Don't Breathe it's like these people are robbing a blind man
I know the movie
for his money, and the whole time you're like, well, these guys are the bad guys, and like this guy's a blind like harmless dude, and like halfway through the movie it all flips and it's like, wait, they just picked the wrong guy's house to break into, and this dude is a bad fucking guy, you know? And so like when shit's like executed well, like it can do it really good job. And I think the strengths of this movie is like the scripting is really good, some good performances, like, but the execution on some of the stuff, like I just was able to snipe it out kind of quick, and so that probably took away a little bit from the viewing experience for me. But I would still recommend, like, it's not one, again, that like it's probably only going to get a week or two in the theater to begin with. I was shocked because this was the one that was in the big theater, and there was literally 5 tickets bought, and then like 10 minutes into the movie, a group of like 6 teenagers went to the back of the theater. So there was like,
that doesn't make sense for that movie to be in the big theater.
Yeah, it was weird that it was in that theater. I don't know if they expected it to do better, but there's not a lot of promotion around it. Like I haven't seen any trailers.
Yeah, I haven't seen any trailers, and you would assume those big theaters are all reserved for showings of Wicked.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't just run another showing of Wicked at that point with how crazy the theater was that night too. You know, because I feel like you would have sold out another one with the fact that there was families that couldn't get into the earlier Wicked showings. But yeah, like I would say definitely check this out. Like if it ends up on streaming, which it will, I think it'll definitely be one of those movies to check out. You know what's another interesting part is it's a Shudder film. Like it's an IFC/Shudder film, and like that's a horror streaming service that's now started making like actual budgeted horror movies. Okay, and like some of them are sneaking their way into the theater.
Something to look out for.
If you like Nick Frost, especially, like I think you'll really enjoy this. He plays his typical kind of role in this. And there's still like some stuff I didn't even mention as far as spoilers that are some like funny twists to it that I didn't mention. But the big one is that like it flips and it's like they're actually the predators here when it's being made out that they're the ones that are going to get
victimized.
Yeah. So yeah, I put it in at 2.5 stars, and it's 66 on my list.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
Yeah. I think I'm about ready to wrap it up.
Cool. Did you like The Spectacular now?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to know because I knew you watched it. We don't really need to talk about it a ton. We had talked about it on the week's previous podcast, and I know you said you watched it. And I just wanted to know because I told you that I thought you would like it, and it's good.
Yeah, I think I watched it immediately after we talked about it, like maybe even that night.
Yeah, 2 actors like Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley that are fantastic, and like I think that and those are roles that helped them get that acclaim. Have you seen A Fault in Our Stars?
Yeah.
Okay, the other Shailene Woodley, like...
Is that the only other thing she's been in? Because I feel like I've seen her in other... Okay,
this is where this came from, was Divergent.
Thank you.
Or Divergent.
Divergent.
Depending how you say
Divergent.
it.
No, you said it right that time. That was crazy.
But yeah, so she's done a bunch of other shit. I just watched a movie like recently that's on like Hulu or something where she's a cop. That was pretty good too.
Okay.
But okay, you like The Spectacular now. Miles Teller, piece of shit. Don't forget that. Well, his character.
On screen.
I think he might be in real life, but like in the movie.
Unconfirmed.
Yeah.
Alleged.
Speculation. Okay, that's it. We got nothing else to talk about.
That's it.
We ran out of shit. We had nothing to talk about to start. Made it an hour and a half.
Nothing else to talk about. We had nothing to talk about to begin with.
We never had shit to talk about. But until next week, people, make sure before we get there, like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Thank you so much.
There we go. Well, share.
Yeah, I was like, why don't I do that?
For me, Lenny. For him, Dante. For him, D33 Ray. Until next week, we bid you fale adieu.
Peace.
Bang, bang.
Biscuit.
For those with good taste.
Bro. Borak is going crazy.
I had to piss for 4 minutes, dude.
Seriously?
I had to piss so bad.